What is going on, people? Welcome back to the YouTube channel and another episode of Building Classic. And as requested, we have a full day of eating on a training day for you guys. I put a poll up on my Instagram on whether you would prefer to see a training day or a rest day. A majority of people chose a training day. I actually feel like the rest day is even more interesting, but we will get round to that because I think it's really important to have this reference point at the start of the off season that we can compare back to. But having said that, my food is in a really good spot and everybody loves a full day of eating video or just eating videos in general. So we're going to deliver many of these for you across the span of the off season as calories progress, as food starts to climb. So morning routine has been executed. Hydrated, supplements in, steps in, foam rolling, pose in, vacuum work, abs, showered, and we're ready to get meal one in. But before I show you meal one, I think it's really important to talk through what am I trying to achieve with this meal plan, because I've written this meal plan myself to tick as many boxes as possible to ensure I progress as an athlete within this off season. It's been checked over by Dan. He's happy. He's just plugged in the amounts of each ingredient that I gave him. And there's been some real thought process behind the food sources that I have selected, the kind of distribution throughout the day, the nutrient timing. And I'm going to kind of go through all of that as we navigate throughout the day of eating. But I want to touch on what am I trying to achieve with this meal plan. Now, firstly, it needs to ensure that I'm in a moderate surplus. We've been running this meal plan now for 2.5 weeks post-show, and it's just seen a real nice steady climb in my scale weight. It also wants to be super enjoyable, super palatable, because that makes it very easy to adhere to. I look forward to every single meal on this plan. And the reason this is so important is because digestion starts with the eyes. It starts with the nose. So when you make your meal plan look good, when it smells good, when it tastes good, the digestive system becomes primed. You will begin to salivate within your mouth, which can help break down the food, and the efficiency of that digestive process is going to massively increase. But it goes much deeper than that. This meal plan has a dense and extensive range of micronutrients across all of these meals to create a really diverse gut microbiome. And you might be asking, Aaron, how does a diverse gut microbiome help you build more muscle or make more progress within an off season? Your gut health and your GI efficiency is absolutely influential on so many processes within the body, not just building muscle. Okay, number one, I want to be as healthy as I can. As an assisted bodybuilder, we know we're going to be generating more oxidants within the body, more systemic inflammation, and a lot of that can be counteracted through nutrition within your diet. There'll be foods that can reduce the oxidants and inflammation within the body, and that is always what you want to go to first before you look at supplementation. So we're making sure we're ticking that off. Also, a healthier body is a more responsive body. I don't want to be getting ill throughout the year through having a poor immune system. So feeding the gut has a huge influence on the overall effectiveness of your immune system. And if I'm ill less often, I can make more progress. I don't want to spend time at the gym or time away from progressing. So that's another really important point. But also the most important point for me is that I want the best nutrient absorption possible. You can only utilize what you can absorb. And if you have a really diverse and healthy gut microbiome, your ability to extract the nutrients from the food is going to massively increase. So this is going to massively help with better delivery of nutrients, absorption of nutrients, which is all going to fuel that muscle building process. Another huge positive is that it has a direct correlation with your overall brain function and cognitive ability. Your mood is going to be influenced by the food you put in your body. Your cognitive ability is going to be influenced by the food you put in your body. I want to be operating on the highest level possible from a mentality point of view as an athlete, and that is influenced by your diet and the foods that you choose to eat. So that's another huge positive. And the final one is just your overall metabolic health. Having a really diverse gut microbiome, a really efficient gut and GI is going to massively influence your metabolic health and how efficient you are. It's going to make sure that you stay insulin sensitive, which is a huge driver of muscle growth, and just ensure that my body is firing on all cylinders. So that is just a bit more of an insight onto why I care so much about the foods that I put in my body. You will see pretty much this entire meal plan is all single ingredient foods with a wide range of colors and textures to ensure that I'm eating enough fiber and intaking enough micronutrients. I think it's very common for bodybuilders to fall into the trap of picking very simple foods, replicating foods, just because I'm in an off season, I need to get loads of food in. And they start to slack off on things like vegetables and fruits. And I think you are massively holding back your ability to progress as a result of that. So yes, there will be times where you need to rely on maybe some more simple sugars or processed foods, but that should be making up 5 to 10% of your diet. The other 90% should be coming from things that come from the ground and things that are really dense in nutrients, which I will show you today. So without further ado, let's get into meal one. I am starving. So we're a little bit behind, so we're going to get meal one in now and show you what we got. So the first meal of the day takes a little long to prep, but my God, is it worth it. And it's very similar to the training day that ran me throughout prep. We've now just got the ability to add in much more nutritious food now that we have more calories available to us. So it is still a rice-based meal for meal one. I'm sticking with basmati rice just for the minute because it's slightly more voluminous, which is obviously going to aid in satiating me a little bit more because hunger post-show, as some of you may have experienced, is brutal and higher than actually on prep. So I'm still trying to pick foods that are pretty voluminous just to keep me nice and full. And that's obviously going to help with all the vegetables that I got in this meal as well. And then as we start to progress deeper into the off season, I want to add like sourdough to this meal, which is obviously going to be easier to get down from a caloric point of view as well. So just going to wash this rice off. And then we have 125 grams of salmon fillet and 100 grams of basa. Now basa is as close to chicken as you're going to get. And it's pretty cheap as well. Doesn't smell fishy, so this digests super well. We obviously don't want to go with 200 plus grams of salmon because the fat content would just be a little high, but we still want to draw some really healthy omegas from the salmon. And then just top up the protein with basa, which is literally just pure protein, no fat at all. And it's just a really kind of tender fish like the salmon that is super cheap to get, especially with the prices of meats at the minute that are just flying through the roof. So this is a really good option if you have never heard of it or never tried it before. Because something like another white fish like cod can be quite fishy, but bassa's a little bit more subtle. So we will season that with some smoked garlic and smoked paprika and get that in the air fryer for 10 minutes now that the rice is bubbling. And in the pan we have our vegetables with 75 grams of spinach, 75 grams of mushrooms and a serving of jalapenos. So this is delivering the fiber for the meal. And then to top off the vegetables, we then of course have our probiotics in our sauerkraut. So garlic and dill sauerkraut, phenomenal for digestion. Great taste as well. I really, really like this, especially the garlic and dill one, which is also going to massively feed the gut microbiome with a load of healthy bacteria. So get that in your meals. And how could I forget the addition of eggs? Eggs got taken out of my plan very early on in prep, so that was a must going back into the off season. Lubash. Unfortunately, we haven't got smoky bacon ketchup. It's sweet sriracha today. And that is because I can't find smoky bacon ketchup anywhere. I need to go on a bit of a trip to find one at a specific supermarket because it keeps selling out, which is not ideal. So in all its glory, we have meal one. For exact numbers, 100 grams of blueberry, 1 free range egg, 85 grams of uncooked weight basmati rice, 30 grams of sauerkraut, 75 grams of spinach, 75 grams of mushrooms, jalapenos, 125 grams of salmon, 100 grams of basa. Woo! I'm going to enjoy this. Now for the all-important yolk split. And he's nailed it. This is honestly such a bowl of goodness. This is going to hit the spot. Very voluminous as well. I'm in need of nearly a bigger bowl. We're almost overflowing here, guys. The next step for this meal would be to add like sourdough, honey, and banana. Because that would be like a savory and sweet combination, which is a huge tip if you're struggling with appetite within an off season, is to have a sweet and a savory component to a meal, and it makes it a lot more palatable and easier to get more food down. rather than sticking to all sweet or all savoury. So I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to put the macros up on the screen at the end of the day rather than each individual meal, and also the breakdown of all of the micronutrients on Chronometer, so you can see the real detail behind this meal plan. But I'm going to enjoy this, get a podcast on, and get this meal in.
I know I'm just me, but if you can throw Nick Walker into that mix, that's a completely different look as well. And now you have 3 awesome bodybuilders to look at, so...
Meal 1, Control, Alt, deleted. And unfortunately, that still hasn't touched the sites. So a busy morning now of getting some content filmed. I've got work to do. We've got meals to prep. So I will meet you guys back for meal number 2, which is the pre-workout meal. We've got pool today, so another big session rolling off the back of a rest day. So I'll show you what is going to be fueling the session today. Okay, so it is time to chef up the pre-workout meal, which is, of course, cream of rice. Who would have guessed? We have got the Supplement Needs cookie dough cream of rice, which is probably one of my all-time favorites. I'll typically alternate between cream of rice and rice pudding. They're exactly the same macros, it just depends what I fancy. And today I fancy cream of rice. So I'm going to give you a bit of a tutorial. I've given you one before, but lots of new viewers here, and everybody wants to know how to make the cream of rice perfectly. So that's what I'm going to show you right here. So first, a big circular container, just so it doesn't get stuck to the edges like in a square container. We have got 120 grams of cream of rice. And the ratio I always like to use, bear in mind, I'm still making sure I try and volumize my foods. So I would tone down this ratio as I get deeper into the off season and possibly struggling with appetite, which I don't think I ever will. I never even got to the point where I struggled with appetite last off season. I got up to like 5,000 plus calories. Right, can't get in the cookie jar. There we go. I will typically use a 5-to-1 water to cream of rice ratio. So I will be using 120 grams of cream of rice here. Therefore, I will use around about 600 grams of water. Okay, that might seem like a lot, but it makes it so much smoother, a lower risk of overcooking it as well, and just makes it super smooth. So 120 grams. I will then add the necessary water. I forgot this fucker follows me around. So zero that off. 600 milliliters of water. Around about like 550. I will then grab myself a fork, whisk the shit out of this. So I will place it in the microwave for the initial bout of about 3 minutes. I will then remove it, stir it, especially around the edges, and then rinse and repeat that process with like 30-second intervals, because you don't want to risk overcooking it. That's when you get the lumps or the grittiness. You'll never make this Supplement Needs one gritty. It's so smooth, it's a joke. But yeah, 30-second intervals and keep mixing it. Now, how thick you make it in the microwave initially will depend on the whey that you use. I will be using ESN Designer whey, which typically makes it a little runnier. I will almost overdo this so it's super thick, because I know when I then add the whey, it'll then make it the perfect consistency, which I'll show you when I get there. So I'm going to go put this in the microwave for the intervals, mix in between, and show you what thickness I bring it to. So this consistency is so smooth, almost like yogurt, right? But this is probably a tiny bit thicker than I would eat it, which is what I need before I add the whey. We're going for the goat whey, which is Leon Cereal Designer whey. This combination, stupendous. Cookie dough cream of rice with Leon cereal whey. We will bang 50 grams of that in with 2 grams of pink salt. And I'm going to mix this up together now. So I will mix this in. And the whey, for some reason, has a bit of a chemical reaction and just makes it that tiny bit runnier, which will bring it to the perfect consistency. And if it makes it a bit runny, I'll just pop it back in the microwave for another 20 seconds. Now, I like my cream of rice to be eaten cold. So I want to eat this in around about an hour's time. So I will pop this in the freezer to let it cool and get nice and cold. And I'm just going to give it a stir every 20 minutes just so it gets evenly cooled all around the edges and the edges don't freeze. And then I will add my toppings on just before I eat it. Or maybe 10 minutes before I eat it and just put it back in the freezer, just so everything's nice and cold. So yeah, this has just gone a tiny bit runny. So all I'm gonna do, oh my word, pop it back in for another 30 seconds. And here we have a silky smooth consistency cream of rice. If you see any little lumps in there, that is actually from the designer way, because there's cereal pieces in there. So this is quite literally the perfect consistency for me. So this goes in the freezer, and I will catch up with you guys when I'm ready to eat this with all of the toppings on to round up the meal. Now, in the meantime, I shall be prepping my post-workout meal. And in the off season, when food climbs, it can get pretty damn expensive. And I'm all for convenience. However, there is some areas where you just end up overspending unnecessarily for convenience. And fruit, in particular pineapple, is one of them. If you can buy your own pineapple, not only does it taste way better, but the value for money is a joke. Like, this is an 80p pineapple and it will get me like 700 grams of pineapple. Yet if I'm paying for 700 grams of pineapple in plastic containers, you're probably looking at £5. It's monumental saving. And then I would much prefer then to go spend more money on a higher quality meat, like better salmon, better beef, rather than just spending it on probably worse quality pineapple just in plastic packaging, all for the sake of convenience. So I'm going to be chefing up a pineapple and kind of distributing that into 3 to 4 days worth because of how much I get. So just doing this, getting the INTRA ready, getting the pre ready. 674 grams from that whole pineapple. And that took me no longer than 2 minutes to cut up. And it is so much better, so much juicier. Long teaspoon at the ready. It's time for the pre-workout meal. So, toppings have been added. And it is now the perfect temperature, ready to eat. So, let's show you this in all its glory. Unbelievable. So we have 120 grams of cream of rice, 50 grams of whey, 100 grams of banana, 10 grams of 85% dark chocolate, 10 grams of walnuts with a sprinkle of cinnamon on top. Now, usually in the past, I would just add 20 grams of dark chocolate here. But I am trying to get as much diversity in micronutrients within this diet. So I've split that fat consumption up between walnuts and dark chocolate. Walnuts are one of the best nuts that you can consume alongside almonds and Brazil nuts. And I want a real variety in the fat sources that I'm utilizing here and draw benefits from different sources. So walnuts are phenomenal for their antioxidant properties. They're also great for gut health, brain health. So they're a really good source to add on top of this meal. And walnuts taste insane. The flavor profile from having dark chocolate and walnuts, unbelievable, Jeff. And then we've obviously got the banana, cinnamon on top as well. Now, I know this meal sits perfectly for me and I will still absolutely blitz through this. So this is going to be placed around about an hour before I train. As you always know, it's now time to flick the switch. I'm going to be watching somebody train the body part I'm about to train, see if I can pick up a few tips and also just get my head in the game for a big progressive pull session. Eat this pre-workout meal now. I will show you what is included in my intra-workout supplementation before we get into the gym. I'm not going to film much in the gym today, maybe a few sets and some post-workout footage, just because this is a full day of eating and I don't want to make the video too long when you've come here to see the food. So that's the plan.
Sets to a minimum, probably like 2 per exercise, solid intensity obviously.
So that is meal number 2, Control Alt deleted. And still didn't touch the sides. This meal digests so efficiently for me, which is a real priority for a pre-workout meal. You don't want something that's going to sit too heavy on the stomach. So we are now going to head to the gym. We've got about a 45 or 50 minute drive. So that's a good opportunity for this meal to digest before we start sipping on the pre-workout. And I have a brand new pre-workout to try today. We've got a very excited box from ESN. So let me show you this. I've been patiently waiting for ESN to bring this product out, and it releases on Sunday at 5 p.m. at the start of the Black Friday sale. It is crank pre-workout. Now, this was available in Germany, but the formula wasn't allowed in the UK. So they've reformulated this and improved it for the UK. And we have fruit punch flavor and blue raspberry. So super excited to trial this today for pull. Look how cool this box is. So cool. So excited to give this a go. It's not just a pre, it's crank. It's got a really nice panel on there, around about 200 milligrams of caffeine, which I think in the off season is a really nice dose because caffeine will blunt an appetite. And when you're trying to get a lot of food down, that's not what you want. You don't want to be overstimulated where it's really hard to flick that switch back to the parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system post-workout. So having something that isn't too heavy on the stims is definitely what you want to be opting for in an off-season. So this is going to be absolutely perfect and kind of my daily driver for the off-season session. So looking forward to pairing this with Crank Pump Pro as well. I'm sure that's going to be a sensational combination for today's pull session. So let's get to the gym. So we have finally made it to the gym. The drum and bass is blasting in there, so I'm excited to get in and train pull. But I wanted to run you through my intra workout supplementation before I go in, because this is essentially a meal. And it should be treated like a meal. I'm not going to sip on this for the entirety of the session. If you want an effective amino acid and MPS spike, this should be drunk like you're eating a meal. So across the space of 10 to 15 minutes. So I will consume this about 20 to 30 minutes into the session. Get that down me with about 500 milliliters of water. And this is essentially in here 20 grams of elite aminos. So it has a really effective dose of isoleucine and leucine, which is the most important amino acid for muscle tissue repair. And then we've also got 25 grams of hydroload, which includes 20 grams of a high molecular weight carbohydrate with some electrolytes in there. So a really nice intra workout, also 10 grams of creatine, but from a kind of caloric point of view, this is essentially just going to be 20 grams of carbs. So this will be consumed 20 minutes into the session. I'm going to go in there, smash pull, show you some post-workout visuals maybe, and then I shall meet you for the post-workout meal. Okay, people, a very successful session, but I am in a bit of a rush because I have a PT session following this meal. So I'm going to run you through what we've got in quick fire fashion. So for post-workout, we have 120 grams of raw weight jasmine rice. We then have some spring onions. We have 220 grams of raw weight chicken. We've then got 65 grams, I believe, of mixed salad with some beetroot kimchi for the probiotics on top. And then fruit to go with that. We have 150 grams of pineapple, which obviously contains bromelain, which is a digestive enzyme which helps break down protein more efficiently. So having this with a high protein meal is a really good idea just to get maximal absorption and breakdown and minimize any digestive stress there. So I'm going to mix this all in with a little bit of Nando's hot sauce, get this in. I've now got my heart rate down. I'm relaxed. I'm in a setting ready to eat. And then I'll meet you guys once I finish PT back home for meal number 4. There it is in all its glory, and I'm still eating this meal cold purely for convenience because you cannot heat up any kimchi, any sauerkraut, because it will just kill off all of the good bacteria. So it saves me having to bring that separate and put it on after I microwave it. I will keep an eye on how it digests because obviously there's going to be more starch there if I don't microwave it. So my digestion's pretty bulletproof at the minute, but if I run into any issues, then I'll start to heat that up. You need to make sure if you ever get any probiotics in the form of kimchi or sauerkraut that you get it out of a refrigerated section. If you're buying it off the shelves, there's a chance that all of that good bacteria is going to be non-existent and you're practically eating cold cabbage. So make sure it's refrigerated when you buy it and make sure you keep it cold when you eat it, whether that's adding it on the meal once it's heated up or just eating the meal cold. Okay, people, so we are back and chefing up the penultimate meal of the day. Just spent about 10 minutes prepping some potato. I'm going to be flexible with potato within this off season. Sometimes I might go for sweet potato, sometimes I might go for white potato or brown or purple potatoes and just mix it up just to get a diversity of micronutrients from different potatoes because they're all going to be very, very similar, if not identical in caloric consumption. So important to draw some benefits from different potatoes and obviously just help with satiety and appetite and making the meal palatable by mixing that sauce up. We've then got 5 grams of olive oil to go over the top. Now, I really think it's important to invest a bit more money in an olive oil, especially when it lasts quite a long period of time, because the benefits you draw from an olive oil will massively differ depending on the quality. So number one, you want to make sure it's a glass bottle. Number two, you want to make sure it's from a single origin. So make sure you check the back and ensure it only comes from one country. This one comes from Greece. So it isn't just a blend of a load of cheap olive oils. So you can actually get a high quality fat source here. And it's just so good having olive oil back in the plan, even if it is only 5 grams, because the difference it makes to how well these potatoes crisp up in the air fryer is just sensational. So we're going to get these in the air fryer, and then that is going to be paired with some vegetables and beef. So I will get back to you once this is all prepared and ready to eat. Once again, seasoned with smoked paprika, smoked garlic, and black pepper. So we're going to go max heat on the air fryer for 15 minutes. Also, has anybody noticed how much the price of beef mince has gone up? It's like £8 or £9 for a 750 gram pack these days. I just feel like this is one of the foods in particular that has gone up drastically and been slapped by inflation. And I think they just hope we didn't notice. But when you're buying the same thing week in, week out, I notice when something goes up in price. I think this and dark chocolate, for some reason, is just so expensive. I would be tempted to try something like venison, another really lean red meat, and get it from the butchers. I know a certain few bodybuilders do that, and that might be worth looking at from like a cost perspective, because my God, just the beef mince get expensive when we're having 200 plus grams a day, you know? But we've got beef mince in the pan with some frozen onions, once again, much cheaper and a little bit more convenient as well because it's already diced up and chopped up ready. And then we've got some other vegetables to go with that, which I will show you in a second. And then fruit sauce as well. So let's get this all chefed up. I'm starving hungry. Got a nice little steak seasoning to go with this as well. So let's get it in the pan and put it all together. Here we have it in all its glory. Ready to go with the pineapple on the side. I think we're going to need some bigger bowls for this off season because when I try and mix that together and make it look less aesthetic, it's going to be carnage. Probably going to have half of it over the table. So let's run you through what is in these bowls of goodness. We have another kind of 65 grams of mixed salad. I've just got these present once again, just for satiation, just to help with managing appetite post-show and volumizing these meals out a little more. And this is something that can go to a denser vegetable when I get deeper into the off season. So we've got 65 grams of mixed salad there. We've then got a serving of chopped onions in with 200 grams of 5% beef mince. We've then got 350 grams of white potato. And then once again, the 100 grams of pineapple for those digestive purposes, and getting some fructose in there as well. So this is a really nice voluminous meal, very simple, but ticks all the boxes here and tastes damn good. So I'm going to get tucked into this while replying to a few clients and listening to a podcast. So I'm going to enjoy this. So that is another meal down the hatch. And where that's a relatively voluminous meal, even though it sits well, I'm going to get some steps in on the walking pad. Steps are so overlooked and so powerful for digestive efficiency. That slight lateral movement of the gut stimulates the gut, brings blood flow there, and helps with digestion. So I think they're really important, and if you can split them up across the day and distribute them after meals, your digestion is going to be way more efficient, and you will notice that. There'll be no bloating, things will move much better. It's just going to allow you to get more total food in when you're pushing harder at the back end of an off season. So super important, and steps are good for you anyway, right? Okay people, so you join me for the final meal of the day, and arguably the best. Can you guess what it is? Of course, it is goats. And we have the goat of the goats in the Flhaven Jumbo Organic Oats. Now, why these over a normal rolled or quick instant oat? Number one, texture, so much better, more like a flapjack. But most importantly, they go through way less processing. So it's going to be typically a little bit healthier for you, better digesting, a slower release as well than the quick oats. So we have 120 grams of this in the saucepan because that is the only way to cook it. And a very similar ratio to the cream of rice and water. So 5 water to 1 oat. So we have 120 grams of oats and around about 550 milliliters of water there. So we're going to put this all together and enjoy this final meal of the day, because my God, do I look forward to this. And here we have the finished product. 120 grams of Flhaven Organic Jumbo Oats. 30 grams of whey isolate, 30 grams of designer whey. We've got banana whey isolate and peanut butter cereal milk whey. We've then got 20 grams of almond butter on top, crunchy of course, and then 2 chopped up kiwis. Kiwis have actually been proven to help you get in that relaxed state and improve sleep quality. That is why this fruit sauce is being chosen in the evening for the final meal. So this is going to send me to sleep as always. So once I've sat down and thoroughly demolished off this final meal, I will then run you through the totals of this day of eating. And as you can see, this has all gone down, no problems whatsoever. So we've got the long teaspoon at the ready. I'm sure I'll be using this pretty much throughout the entirety of the off season, however big food gets. Unbelievable. So good. It's so hard to pick what my true favourite meal is because I genuinely love them all so much. And this is so important when it comes to a meal plan. If you're not enjoying the food you're eating, that'll have a negative impact on digestion and adherence. So make sure you're picking foods that you enjoy that also tick all those nutritious boxes as well. Am I licking out the bowl? Yes, I am. I might be back in an off season, but I'm still painfully hungry even after finishing off 120 grams of oats. So we're going to help the dishwasher out, you know. Very sad that I've got to wait a whole another 24 hours till I can grace myself with a bowl of oats again. But we're appreciating our food right now. I'm very thankful that it is up at the caloric set point that it is. And I'll run you through that once I've seen off these kiwis. Okay, people, so that brings us to the end of the first full day of eating within this off season. So I'm going to run you through the totals of this day. I've plugged this day of eating into Chronometer, which is essentially a more in-depth version of MyFitnessPal. So it doesn't just track the calories and the macros, but it also gives you loads of information on your micronutrients, your minerals, your vitamins, just to see if you're covering all bases, because that's what I really wanted to achieve with this meal plan. So the final total was 4,062 calories. So we're already up at 4,000 calories a few weeks post-show. So God knows what we're going to get up to by the end of this off-season. That actually surprised me, because by the time I added in all the vegetables, which wasn't necessarily tracked on Dan's meal plan, that totaled up a little higher. And that also doesn't include condiments. So Pretty crazy. And that breaks down into 311 grams of protein, 519 grams of carbs, and 74 grams of fat. We also ticked off our fiber target, so hit 46 grams of fiber, which is super important for digestive efficiency and gut health as well. So all of our other macros have been hit. All of our vitamins are maxed out from this meal plan. All of our minerals are maxed out except calcium, which on a rest day gets ticked off because of the fire yogurt that I consume. But absolutely everything is ticked off. All of our omegas are ticked off as well. So this is really a complete full day of eating that ticks every single box to maximize digestion, to maximize muscle protein synthesis, glycogen replenishment, and make sure I'm as healthy as possible to combat the negative side effects of PEDs and ensure my body is operating at its full capacity and all of the processes are being maximized, right? So that is the full day of eating, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found value in some of the reasoning behind the food sources that I have selected and can take some inspiration away from this as well. This certainly will not be the last of the full day of eatings. I'll get a rest day done next, and then as the meal plan and calories progress throughout the off season and we need to implement different strategies to keep everything in a good spot, I will be sure to document that as well. I also want to say thank you for the crazy support and engagement on the first episode of this series already, and there is going to be plenty more content to come. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to show your support, hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, what the fuck are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, get the bell notification turned on so you don't miss another video in this off-season series. I'm ready for bed. I'll see you in the next one.